Welcome back to the Brew Bowl. We actually have another Nemesis match for you today, the one between the Kislev Outcasts and the Tor Elyr Pegasi. Unfortunately, when I did a Windows update this week, it seems to have balked my sound settings in OBS. So at the time we recorded it, I didn't see it, but unfortunately my audio was cut from the recording entirely. So rather than play you a video where there's lots of silence on my part and Lawson seemingly talking to himself, what I did was I recut this game as a summary game, although I've also been able to pull together the interviews at the start and finish based upon recordings I had of Lawson and re-recordings of what I said. So we'll cut over to that now, and then we'll go to the game summary as well. Hello sports fans, and welcome to a special exhibition match of Blood Bowl 7s, once again involving one of our incredible Brew Bowl teams. There's been a lot of drama leading up to tonight's match, talk of assassins, prophecy, dark magic. I don't know what any of that means, but I suspect it means that tonight we're going to see a grudge match like no other. Let's look at the teams. First off tonight we have our Brew Bowl team, the Kislev Outcasts. This ragtag bunch of Chaos Renegades has staked out a claim in the middle of the Brew Bowl competition, and a win in the final round will see them go through to the playoffs. That's next week, however, and for now they're here to focus on their opponents for the evening with honour, or something like it, on the line. Meeting the challenge of the Outcasts tonight, we welcome the Tor Elyr Pegasi to the fields of the Brew Bowl. A well-funded and highly elite team of Sevens players, the Pegasi mean business out there for on the pitch. They're not as fragile as other elf teams, but every player removed is a devastating loss for a team like this. Can they keep themselves up the whole match? We'll have to wait and see. Here to chat me about the game before we kick things off, I have Outcast manager Elyr Eldenkind. Elyr, welcome to the studio.
Always glad to be here.
Now, Elyr, there's been a lot of rumours flying around about the apparent beef between you and the manager of the Pegasi. All sorts of nasty comments up to and including the apparent use of Dark Elf assassins, and not on the field. For those fans struggling to follow along at home, could you give us an idea about exactly why we're here tonight?
Well, my opponent is coached by another High Elf named Belmeric, who has served his purpose of denying me opportunities in the High Elf field for advancement, which is why I have been in the Brew Bowl with Ogres and now Chaos Renegades. And I'm looking to prove myself worthy of coaching High Elves.
Now, I've taken a look at the Pegasi roster. Even I think it's pretty intimidating. They've got some highly skilled players out there and some solid training. It's the sort of team, however, that's really going to feel every removal. What do you think your chances are like of taking them out and swinging those odds in your favour?
As a High Elf myself, I know just how great High Elf teams are. Even if they didn't have the skills, this would be an uphill battle. But of course, our one advantage over them is our strength between our Minotaur and our Rat Ogre. So I'm hoping that we can neutralize the greatness of the High Elves with a little bit of punching.
We also can't overlook the fact that one of your players is out due to injury, and like the Pegasi, the Outcasts have no bench tonight, and neither team has brought any apothecary to the match. How concerned are you that the casualty count could turn against you?
Always concerned about that. It's happened this season, happened in my last game against the Dwarves. But we're up against a team that doesn't necessarily have the heaviest punches, so hopefully we can keep ourselves together a bit longer than them.
Now, I've taken a look out at the field, and I have to say, it doesn't look like the Pegasi players really want to be here. I'm guessing whatever this matter involving you and their manager is, the players aren't feeling it. Is there any way that you could exploit this low morale during the match?
I think we just come to play Blood Bowl. I think once they get into the thick of it, their morale will change a bit as they start getting hit by big players, so I'm not relying on that too much.
Let's quickly touch on the upcoming round of the Brew Bowl. You've obviously known now that you're facing the Coatls. A win or draw would mean that you go through to the playoffs, which is something, of course, that you achieved with your prior team, the High Peaks Mountaineers, last season. How confident are you about going into this final week, Elyr?
Well, I'm the away team this week. In my last 4 games, the away team has won 1-0. So if trends continue, I'm in the right spot. I haven't given up more than 1 touchdown in a game all season. So hopefully I can keep it a low-scoring affair. So even if I have to settle for a draw, that gets me in. but I'm looking forward to a tough matchup against Mojadin and maybe forcing him to foul.
Interesting. All right, ERA, it's about that time. Anything else you'd like to add before we head on down to the game?
It's going to be an uphill battle. My players are well aware of that, but we are here to showcase ourselves, and we will do our best.
Thank you, Ira. Well, sports fans, I really have no idea how this match is going to go. The paper stats and the training would seem to favour the Pegasi, but I've seen both Ira and the Outcasts pull out some real upsets. And with two big guys out there, it's possible that the Outcasts could bash their way to victory against a depleted High Elf team. Whatever happens though, I'm sure it's going to be exciting. Let's get down to the pitch so we can find out exactly how exciting. It's time to watch some Blood Bowl. The Outcasts win the coin toss and decide they will receive in the first half, reasoning that they would also be receiving if the game went to overtime. Before the kickoff is completed, the crowd from both sides storm the pitch. Pegasi players Yelvin the Mighty and Shahabris the Specialist are stunned by the fracas, along with Outcast player Granis Fearless Bane. The ball comes down in front of the Outcast line and bounces back onto Tris Ferrigor, who catches it. Outcast turn 1. The Outcasts build a cage around Ruin's Deadblight. Though in the process of moving into position, Gash pummels Narvos Soulbreaker and knocks the lineman out. Tris Ferrigor takes a position at the front of the defensive line and hands the ball back to Deadblight. Pegasi turn 1. Soulreef the Honoured blitzes around the back of the Outcast defensive lineup, knocking Deadblight down, though the ball goes safely in front of Medita Bloodcloak and Gash. The other Pegasi players close in around the ball, but don't go in for a pickup. Direnray the Defiant and Kiagriak the Defender mark the far side of the Outcast line. Outcast turn 2. Gash blocks 3 and Rays the Valiant and knocks the catcher back twice but can't knock him down. Granis Fearless Bane gets up and blitzes Direnray the Defiant, badly hurting the High Elf and taking him out for the rest of the match. This gives Tris Ferrigor a chance to block Kiagarak the Defender and stuns him. Jen Bearbane moves in to support Medita Bloodcloak, who pushes Hellersrak the Magnificent to the sideline. The ball remains on the ground, surrounded by Outcast players. Pegasi turn 2. Yelvin the Mighty gets up and rushes in to support Hellersrak the Magnificent in blocking Medita Bloodcloak away and down. Dianrays the Valiant dodges away from the Rat Ogre and runs between the Outcast players, scooping up the football in the process. Soulreef the Honoured moves in to protect the catcher. Outcast turn 3. Tris Ferrigor gangs up with Ruin's Deadblight to push Soulreef the Honoured out of the way, which creates an opening for Granis Fearless Bane to blitz into the ball carrier. On the second block, the catcher goes down and is seriously hurt by the Minotaur. The ball lands near Soulreef the Honoured, so Gash moves in to mark the ball and the blitzer. Pegasi turn 3. Yelvin the Mighty and Hellersrak the Magnificent move forward to assist Soulreef the Honoured in blitzing the Outcast Minotaur into the crowd. The Beast is badly hurt by the crowd and will see the rest of the match out in the injury bin. Soulreef attempts to grab the ball, but he loses control of it and deviates back into the mess of players. Outcast turn 4. Gash blitzes into Soulreef the Honoured and knocks the blitzer out before taking a position marking the football. After helping Medita Bloodcloak to knock down Kiagarak the Defender, Jen Bearbane moves to assist Ruin's Deadblight in knocking down the Pegasi's other blitzer. A block by Tris Ferrigor into Shahabris the Specialist sees both players go down, though the High Elf receives a match-ending injury in the process. Pegasi turn 4. With few players left on the field, the Pegasi spend more than half their play getting players up. It does create an opportunity for Yelvin the Mighty to block Jen Bearbane, sending the lineman to the ground. Outcast turn 5. The Outcasts take advantage of positioning with Medita Bloodcloak blitzing Hellersrak the Magnificent off the field, before Ruin's Deadblight follows up by also pushing Yelvin the Mighty into the crowd. Neither player is seriously hurt, however, and they return to their team dugout. Pegasi turn 5. The one remaining player on the field for the Pegasi, Kiagarak the Defender, attempts to dodge to get the ball, but he is tripped up and the ball scatters into the mass of Outcast players. Outcast turn 6. Unable to score this half, the Outcast players gather around the fallen High Elf before Tris Ferrigor fouls him, stunning the lineman. Ruin's Deadblight gathers the ball and throws a simple pass to Medita Bloodcloak, if only to pad the numbers. Pegasi turn 6. Kiagarak the Defender rolls over, but is unable to stand before the halftime whistle is blown, and both teams stand scoreless. In the second half, the Outcasts kick to the Pegasi at the start, with the ball coming down in the middle of the field. Pegasi turn 7. With insufficient players to form a cage around a ball carrier, the High Elves instead decide to form a makeshift cage around the ball. The two blitzers take the front line, drawn by Yelvin the Mighty, and Kiagarak the defender falls in behind the ball. Outcast turn 7. Ruin's Deadblight and Medita Bloodcloak run around the back of the Pegasi's cage to mark both Kiagarak the defender and the football before Gash blitzes into Hellersrak the Magnificent. The Rat Ogre knocks the blitzer down, stunning him and causing the ball to bounce around. Sorrowth the Honoured catches a loose ball and the remaining Outcast players mark him up. Pegasi turn 8. With few options, Solreef throws a weak blocks against an assisted Triss Ferragor and lucks out, managing to lock the lineman down before he dodges away from the prehensile tail of the Rat Ogre and begins running for the line. Yelvin the Mighty also dodges away and tries to mount whatever defense he can to assist the ball carrier. Outcast turn 8. Ruin's Deadblight blocks Kiagarak the defender and manages to stun the High Elf. Triss Ferragor gets up and marks Yelvin the Mighty, and Jen Barebane runs down to mark the ball carrier. Gash runs at Solreef the Honoured, but the blitzer is just outside of the Rat Ogre's normal range, and when Gash tries to rush to throw the blitz, the ground proves slippery and the Rat Ogre goes down, ending the Outcast play. Pegasi turn 9. Not wanting to take any other chances, Solreef the Honoured easily dodges away from Jen Barebane and runs in a touchdown for the Pegasi, giving them a 1-0 lead. Outcast turn 9. The kickoff from the Pegasi goes high and into the middle of the field. Medita Bloodcloak gets an early rush and Gash is able to move directly under the ball. The Rat Ogre fumbles the catch and the ball goes off the pitch. As part of the touchback, the Outcasts give the ball to Gash, who is already halfway down the field with the Dark Elf. In the Outcast subsequent play, they line up on the Pegasi's line of scrimmage, with Medita Bloodcloak running past. Gash blitzes Sorrowth the Honoured, but the blitzer is able to turn the attack around, and Gash goes down instead, stunned, with the ball coming loose between the Outcast players. Pegasi turn 10. Yelvin the Mighty comes in and assists Hellersrak the Magnificent in blocking down Jen Barebane. This then gives Sorrowth the Honoured the support he needs to blitz Triss Ferragor back before scooping up the ball and running down the sideline to mark Navos Soulbreaker. Kiagarak the defender moves in to defend the ball carrier. Outcast turn 10. Medita Bloodcloak runs back to mark Kiagarak the defender, and Ruin's Deadblight comes in to assist Navos Soulbreaker in blocking the ball carrier. They are only able to knock the blitzer back, however. Jen Barebane gets up and assists Triss Ferragor in knocking Hellersrak the Magnificent down. Pegasi turn 11. The High Elves try bringing Hellersrak the Magnificent around to provide assistance so that Solreef the Honoured can blitz his way free, but Hellersrak is tripped as he tries to dodge past the Outcast players. Outcast turn 11. Gash gets up and blitzes the ball carrier. Solreef is knocked out by the attack and the ball comes loose. Navos Soulbreaker blocks and stuns Kiagarak the defender, and Medita Bloodcloak is able to gather the loose football and get back within range of scoring. Jen Barebane throws an unassisted block at Yelvin the Mighty and is successful in knocking the High Elf back and creating a roadblock for any attempt he might have to blitz the Dark Elf. Pegasi turn 12. Yelvin the Mighty is able to dodge away from Jen Barebane and he sprints over to blitz Medita Bloodcloak. A lucky blow sends the Dark Elf to the ground and the ball goes into the sideline. The crowd throws it back in, but it's on the other side of the field from the Outcasts. Hellersrak the Magnificent gets up to block Ruin's Deadblight from going straight for the ball. Outcast turn 12. Triss Ferragor and Navos Soulbreaker pair up to blitz Hellersrak the Magnificent out of the way. This leaves Ruin's Deadblight with a chance of sprinting to pick up the ball for a moderately difficult pass to Jen Barebane, who would just be able to get into the end zone with a rush. Ruin's gets to the ball, but the pickup is fumbled, and the ball goes over the sideline. The crowd helpfully throw the ball into the Outcast end zone, but it's too late. The whistle is blown, and the Pegasi take the game 1-0. Dear Ira, what a tragedy. I thought you had a great chance there in the final moments. You had so many of their players removed. Still, I think it was an incredibly close game against the High Elves.
Well, I mean, again, High Elves, we've seen the Wood Elves. The High Elves are a better version of the Wood Elves, in my opinion. So playing a close game against them is a far cry from where I've been against Elves in the past in the Brew Bowl. I think this is a good sign going forward for the playoffs, at least.
Now, is it true that at the end of the match, the Pegasi players that could each came over and shook your hand as a sign of respect?
Yes, I shook, I believe, 4 players' hands. And I think a 5th woke up afterwards and ran up to me.
Do you think you've proven yourself to these players at least?
I definitely feel like I've shown that I can hang with the High Elves, even with a lesser team.
I just think it's incredible what you did with tonight with such an eclectic group of players.
I mean, when you're a ragtag group of assorted pieces, it's what you got to do. You got to figure it out.
Well, I, for one, found it entertaining. Any final thoughts tonight before we wish you well until we see you back here for your final round game against the Quaddles?
I do have one last announcement for that game. Unfortunately, Gash will be departing the team. She has revealed to me that she is expecting. She only played tonight under the assurance from the Bugman hired staff that anything that happened today would have no effect on her incoming children. She has also accepted a assistant coaching position with a Skaven clan, as I've heard. So she will be departing us. Maybe we'll see her back when she's born her children, but for now, she will not be on our roster heading into the final regular season game.
Incredible. I had no idea Gash was female. Well, sports fans, that's all we have time for tonight. Thank you for joining us for this Cabal Vision special presentation. We'll be back very soon with all the action from the final round of the Brew Bowl, so stay tuned. So there you had the game. Disappointing result, obviously, for Lawson to fail the Nemesis game. There will be other chances in future seasons. Overall, look, I think that the dice were not Lawson's friend there, but he was also against a pretty well-equipped team with a relatively low team value compared to how some of the other teams have gone into their Nemesis matches. So still a fun game. We had a lot of fun playing it. It's always fun to sort of to see what the zany stuff happens when I play with Lawson. In any case, we've got more games coming up this week, more regular games. I'll get my sound working properly this time. So we've got more games from round 8 as we move towards the final. So we'll see you back here on YouTube soon for more of the Brew Bowl. Take care.